Welcome back and happy Tuesday. We are here in the UAE and I have a very special guest for you that you will meet shortly. This week we're going to be talking all about the bank of the future. The banking industry has had a euphoria of digital transformation innovation being used all across the industry. People are still not sure how to define these things in themselves and what the future will look like. A lot of this was reactive in response to the perceived threat from fintech. And more the industry has not been thinking about how they should influence this themselves moving forward. As such, banks have been gradually introducing new technology along the way, but the speed and the change of which these new technologies are being introduced is, we still have a long way to go there. And on top of that, we're trying to figure out what the future of banking will look like down the road and what type of services the future consumers and small businesses alike will be wanting and what banks will be offering. So now let me pass it over to Abrar Mir, who is the Chief Innovation Officer and, my favorite part, Chief Financial Inclusion Officer of HBL. So Abrar, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me today. We have been friends online for a number of years, and I'm so excited to be with him in person. And so I would love to understand a little bit more from you about HBL in general, your role there, and then more specifically how HBL looks at financial inclusion now and in the future.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Scarlett. It's been a pleasure to finally get to meet you. We've been trying to meet up over the online for the last couple of years, actually. Coming back to HBL, HBL is the largest commercial bank in Pakistan with operations in quite a few overseas jurisdictions as well. The bank has been around for almost 77 years now.
Wow.
So it's an old bank that has been around for way longer than the country of Pakistan itself. In terms of what my role over there is, as you mentioned, I am the Chief Innovation and the Financial Inclusion Officer. So essentially there are two distinct areas that I'm responsible for driving. The front part is the innovation or the digitization part of the organization, and the second piece is the financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is something that is very close to the values of the organization, that is very close to our parent shareholders as well, and hence, as a bank, although it's not really a profitable business to be in, at least at this point in time, but as an organization, we have decided that we are not going to just sit on the sidelines and let there be this massive financial exclusion that exists today. So we have decided to go ahead as an organization and invest very aggressively in financial inclusion. And that includes rolling out a business last year, which is a complete digital onboarding of the customers. People can just use their mobile phones, or they can walk up to a corner grocery store and literally in less than a minute they can walk away with an account. And that account, although obviously it has lower limits than the regular bank accounts, but for a vast majority of the country, those accounts or mobile wallets, I mean that's a debate that keeps happening, what do you call them? But they essentially enable that population to become part of a formal financial system. And that's something that the whole organization is very excited about, and that's something we have been investing in and we intend to continue investing in that space.
It's exciting because more broadly across the world, there has certainly been a proliferation of these digital-first banks, and whether we can get into the semantics of whether it's a digital bank or a mobile wallet, but the fact that you all and HBL is really looking at doing that specifically to service financial inclusion is extremely exciting. So on the mobile wallet side for a second, you are certainly a pioneer in the space, and if you look at the evolving landscape of mobile, how are you envisioning the impact now and in the future? What will mobile be moving forward? What will that look like, and why is that important?
I think it's an interesting question, and that's a question that we continue to debate internally as well. There are colleagues of mine who also have that thesis that even the mobile phones would not exist a few years down the road and there'll be something else. But since this is all that we know today, so at this point in time, the way we look at it is that mobile is something that has become a ubiquitous thing that everybody is carrying in their hands, And with the proliferation of the smartphones increasingly going out and increasing at a very fast pace, I think the opportunity to bring various services together on the smartphone is increasing exponentially. And that's how we see as a financial service provider as well that our role increasingly needs to evolve beyond just those plain vanilla payment services that we're providing. So the way we at HBL are looking at it is to basically go and try to become more of a lifestyle facilitator so that when a customer comes to our mobile app, they don't really need to go out of the app and to go and set up another app to fulfill their basic day-to-day needs. So,
Right.
for example, ordering food or buying tickets or making a doctor's appointment and stuff like that. So, some of the basic stuff, for that matter, going out and buying from an e-commerce site as well, should not require you to go to a separate place, go through your whole order processing and then the payment processing happening separately. So our objective is and our goal and our vision remains that once the customer comes onto our mobile app, we should be able to enable them to experience their lifestyle needs with the payments happening seamlessly in the back end instead of payments being a specific activity, which it is most of the time today.
Right, and you've certainly seen that work very well in places like China, where there is the one place where people do everything. Another point that comes out of that naturally is the data that you will have and that you will have access to as part of all of these different and unique experiences happening in one place. So a few weeks ago here on Tech Tuesday, that I talked about the future of data and the chief data officer, and that I believe the biggest assets that financial institutions have is their data. So on that data point, and I know you have a similar feeling there, can you talk to me about your thoughts on the importance of data and then more broadly the impact of that on the API economy?
Well, data is something that is very close to my heart, and I love to talk about data. And in my view, and I could be wrong, but at least that's something that I strongly believe in, that the future bank will be essentially a data company. As you rightly pointed out, the banks are sitting on a very rich data about customers' behavior and customers' needs and the transaction patterns, etc. But we've not really been leveraging those.
Right.
But we increasingly see that, and even at HBL, we are now focusing on that area. We have started to kind of build a small team of machine learning and AI experts. We've already started to look at some of the use cases ranging from the churn of the customer to the fraud risk management and AML, etc. So I think data is going to be a huge element in how the banks work in future. And when you couple that data with the growing trends of open APIs, I think that's where when new business models are expected to evolve. Because when I was earlier talking about the lifestyle,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to transform the whole thing. Because when you go out and you use the open APIs to integrate with the overall external ecosystem, you bring lots of partners together on your platform, and then you can leverage the power of the data. So you can start to kind of change the boring phase of the banking as it
Yep.
is today to get into more exciting things like the last minute offers or to offering very personalized targeted product to a customer, which are most of the people are now used to think kind of experiencing when they go on to the Facebooks or Instagrams or Google of this world. But banking does not offer that at this point in time, and I think that's where this exciting opportunity lies in future, to use the data, to use the APIs to partner with the larger ecosystem and then leverage data to engage with the customer in a very different, in a very non-traditional way than what the banks have been doing so far.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, you've definitely seen parts of this happen in other industries, but the opportunities with banks are even more so where it can be a truly customized, authentic offering and not just something based off of a larger demographic that may be relevant to them that they've seen in three other places, but it's you have so much information about them to make sure that you actually are offering things that they want and need. So that makes perfect sense. So if you would like to hear more about Abrar's story, and he's truly a global phenomenon and has had such an impact on our space for so many years. Please click the link below and you will be able to find the whole video on YouTube as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming here,
Thank
and
you.
until
Appreciate
next
it.
week.